On this edition of Inside Education, an update on the contract dispute between the Clark County Education Association and the school district. Plus, how students are learning about careers in construction. We're going to take you inside the construction technology program at SECTA. And we'll check in with two organizations, JAG Nevada and the Boys and Girls Club, to find out how they're helping local students. Those interviews and much more. Inside Education starts right now. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Inside Education. I'm your host, Mitch Truswell. It's been a rocky few weeks for Clark County School District leaders and the Clark County Education Association. That's the main union representing educators here in Clark County, with teachers threatening to strike. At issue, teacher salaries, specifically how teachers are compensated for professional development. Inside Education's Kathy Topp has more on this situation. Kathy.
Mitch, teachers had set a strike date of September 10th, unhappy with how contract negotiations were progressing with district leaders. The big sticking point had to do with professional development and being financially compensated for additional training or education. But on Wednesday, August 28th, union and district leaders announced a deal.
Good afternoon. The past few weeks have been tense, but I'm happy to announce that today we averted a strike.
A joint press conference between district and union leaders to announce a deal. And perhaps more importantly, that a strike has been avoided. It comes after weeks of picketing and a heated school board meeting.
I am here today with my fellow educators because we expect our contract to be honored.
Even the governor and legislative leaders weighed in. The agreement reached between the district and CCEA leadership includes a 3% salary raise, a step increase in the salary table, a 4% increase in health care contributions, as well as a column advancement for professional development for those who have completed the requirements. The deal also says a new professional development system model will be looked at in the future.
It's a fair deal for our educators who have the largest impact in student achievement. As we all know, the number one factor in increasing student achievement is that classroom teacher.
Governor Steve Sisolak commended union and district leaders, but also said there is still work to do.
Today is good news. I also want to recommit to doing whatever we can to fix the larger systemic problem we face so we don't end up back here again in 2 years. It's not lost on me that the issues facing Nevada's education system go well beyond the specific issue that was resolved today. They go beyond Clark County, and they go beyond this current time.
CCEA's executive director said there was a commitment from both parties to make this work and thanked teachers and the community for their support.
These negotiations were challenging because they ultimately get down to a question of priority. The limited funds that we have, we need to be frugal and resourceful and try to put as much into the classroom. And in this case, this negotiated agreement invested in frontline educators, those that do this thankless job, that do it with great passion every day, day in and day out, teaching our kids.
So where did the extra money come from to fund this deal? In a news release, district leaders say projections have been trending positively, and they've seen improvements since their projected budget in several areas, including interest earnings, reallocating positions from the operating budget to state or federal grants, as well as freezing open central office positions unless they directly impact student achievement. Now, the School Board of Trustees will officially need to approve this deal, which you can read more about on both the Clark County School District and the Clark County Education Association's websites. The URL for the CCEA website is on your screen, and you can find CCSD's website at ccsd.net. Mitch?
Kathy, thank you. So, is there enough money for education? This week, we had the opportunity to sit down with Michaela Tonking, Research and Advocacy Director for the group Educate Nevada Now, to talk about education funding and an analysis she is compiling. Michaela Tonking, thank you for being with us. I know your organization, Educate Nevada Now, there are 17 traditional school districts in the state. 13 of them kind of answered your survey.
Yeah.
And half of the 13 roughly, said they didn't have money to pay teacher raises that the governor was suggesting. That was 3%. Yeah. Why is that?
So a lot of these school districts have specific resources that they can use for specific grants, specific programs, but their operating budgets just don't provide enough for them to provide this raise at the full 3%. So some are doing 2.5, some are doing 2%, but none of them are doing or could not or unable to do that 3% because they just didn't have enough general fund and they were seeing a decline in their revenue on a per pupil level.
And yet, after our legislative session concluded, that was what the talk was. They have funded education like never before. So there seems to be kind of a disconnect there between we have this money, we're giving districts more money, yet they can't meet all their obligations, teacher raises, that sort of thing. Yeah. Where's the disconnect?
So the idea was that the state did increase some of its funding, and most of it came in state grant form. So what we call our categoricals. So class size reduction, counselors, all those types of grants. And those were given to some of the districts. But actually the contribution that went to the general operating fund through the DSA was much lower. And so a lot of these districts were not able to see an increase in that DSA funding in order to create these raises or whatever else they would want to do through general operating.
I think in the article that I saw from Educate Nevada Now, I think it was $1 billion is kind of the estimate on what it would take to properly fund every single school district, reduce class sizes, do all sorts of things. That's a big number. That's a big number.
Yeah. So that $1 billion is what we've seen come out of the adequacy studies we've had done. So we've done the most in the country, we've done 4 of them, and yet we've to create a real change with how we fund schools. And so what we heard is it's about $1 billion, which is the same number that we've seen in all 4 with inflation, to fully fund schools to make them adequate so that we're not running into any of these issues where people can't fundraises, that they have to decide between AC or a raise, depending on whatever it is. And so this is the new cost of that. And it's a hard sell to legislators to get them there. And so it's something that no other state has been like, oh, I'm just gonna put $1 billion in this year, here we go. No, this is something that happens over 10, 20 years. And so what happened in this state is we created the new funding formula, but then we didn't require that be increased every year. So it will continue to be funded probably very similarly to how it's been in the past. So we're not gonna see any large increases to help move us to our goal.
In fact, the funding increase this year does not necessarily carry over to next year, right?
So this year we saw about a 4.2% increase, which is big. That's a huge increase than we've seen. And it keeps up with inflation, allows you to provide some raises in some districts. But next year we're only seeing about 1.5%, which isn't even keeping up with inflation, 1.25 probably. And so what we're gonna see is a lot more expenditures and people having to make more cuts again. And so yes, it was a really good year, but overall this whole biennium may not be as great for all of these school districts.
Educate Nevada Now, I know you're a statewide organization, but I'm sure you know that there is a pending strike here in Clark County. I'm curious what your take is on that.
Yeah, I think as we mentioned, what we're seeing is no district, or not all districts have been able to fund this raise. Right. It's not just Clark County who can't fund it or can't fund all of the salaries. So it's a big issue across the state. And so I think what's really important to remember is that the money may or may not be there, but we right now, with all the other obligations that these districts have, we have to see how they'll be able to eventually fund it if they can. But it is something that the teachers did expect and need, but it's also our students do. They don't need large class sizes. They don't need to be in classrooms with no air conditioning. It just really, it goes both ways.
Right. And also in the article it mentions, if a strike is the strategy used to get more money, then that will take money from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I guess statewide is what your organization says is this is not a great way to figure out funding solutions.
And so it's really hard because, as I mentioned, these teachers deserve this money that they were promised, but then also we have to worry about class sizes because we don't fund enough to create lower class sizes, or we don't fund enough to make sure we have the correct programs for all of our students. And so it's this constant battle on how do we fund education, where we need to pay our teachers well because they deserve that to keep those good teachers in, but we also need to provide resources for our students that we may not be able to provide.
Right. Michaela Tonking, really appreciate your insight with Educate Nevada Now. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Students who enroll in career and technical education programs, often called CTE, have a couple of options when they graduate. Many students will take the skills they've learned and go directly into the workforce. Others will work part-time in their chosen field while they pursue additional college or certifications. We're continuing to highlight CTE programs and what they offer students with a visit to Southeast Career and Technical Academy and the Construction Technology Program.
Operation 1 will be over here. Operation 2.
The job prospects for students in Mr. Alvey's Construction Technology Program are extremely good.
Every single week almost, I get advertisements from the unions asking me for the manpower.
There are about 160 students in SECTA's four-year program teaching skills in carpentry, construction, masonry, electrical, plumbing, and surveying. Students like Micah Caballero can also pick up certifications in Bobcat and forklift skills, which will increase his marketability. Micah graduates in May and plans to work part-time as a carpenter so he can pay for college and pursue a construction management degree. His 4 years at SECTA mean his starting wage as a carpenter will be higher.
The starting for a carpenter our age going into the field would be about $18 when we come out of the field, because we've been doing so much in school and we've already been qualified. We jump from the $18 to $28 immediately.
Stephanie is also in her fourth year of the program. She too will pursue a construction management degree after high school and also work part-time. At first, her parents were not convinced this was her best career choice.
You know, in the beginning they were hesitant because of course it's a major, you know, not a lot of girls go into, but now that I'm in it, they're glad I'm in it and taking the risk.
She also credits the program and Mr. Alvey with helping find her confidence.
I'm a stronger person because of him. I was always super shy as a freshman, and mostly it was a class full of guys, so he always told me, you know, I want to get you out of that comfort zone to be able to tell these guys that they're doing something wrong when they are. And I feel like he has built that in me.
Alvey gets a tremendous amount of satisfaction helping the younger generation see construction industry opportunities. Historically, about 40% of his students go directly into the construction workforce full-time after high school. 10% work part-time and pursue a degree in construction management, while the rest go into non-construction careers but gain lifetime benefits from what they've learned in his class, as they will often tell him.
They will call me and say, I just bought a new house, Mr. Alvey, and I did the walkthrough and I found this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, and this wrong. And I told them they had to correct it. If I hadn't had your class, I wouldn't have known to look for those things.
Another bit of satisfaction for Alvey is seeing some of his recent graduates now at work in the private sector, working on the construction project currently underway at SECTA. Alvey says he encourages students to not only look at the work, but the great benefits in the construction industry. That includes excellent medical, dental, retirement plans, and also paid vacation, often with no college loans. There is a need among all trades. Alvey reminds students that many iron workers now building the Raiders Stadium had to come out of retirement, as not enough current iron workers could be found. Well, the Clark County School District and partners recently unveiled a new website focused on apprenticeships. The website, apprenticeship.ccsd.net, is one result of a community-wide partnership to provide students with options to enter stable, profitable, and high-need skilled trade careers. Helping students graduate and become career and job ready is the goal of Jobs for Nevada's Graduates. The nonprofit provides statewide service and has 56 programs in 13 Nevada school districts, including Clark County. Here to talk more about JAG programs, we have Renee Cantu, Jr., Executive Director, as well as Jimmy Torello, a 2019 graduate of Western High School. First of all, congratulations on graduating.
Thank
Jimmy,
you.
we're proud of you. Okay, so Renee, let's start with you. So we're calling it JAG.
Yes.
Tell us what it does.
Certainly.
And what your mission is, and who do you serve?
So JAG is a nonprofit organization that embeds a team of people who help young people to graduate and who follow up for 12 to 24 months after graduation to place young people on a career pathway. So what we do is we help young people, graduate high school, find a career pathway. What we're doing is we're moving the future of Nevada forward one student at a time.
That's great. Okay, and Jimmy is on his way here.
He is a great example, yes.
Yes, so you graduated in 2019, so last May, right?
Yes, sir.
So you, tell me what you would like to do. You've had some help from JAG to kind of guide you. What's your goal?
My goal is just to help out my community. Growing up in the west side of Las Vegas, you know, in the neighborhood that I grew up in, it was very of poverty. You know, a lot of people, they didn't really have enough money. So what I plan to do is just follow the footsteps of one of my one of my inspirations, Nipsey Hussle, you know, buying his community, you know, making sure that everybody gets a home and just helping out everybody that lived in his certain area. And I want to do that for my community as well.
How did JAG give you that sight, that goal? How did they get you to say, so that you could see that you can have a successful future? They helped you do that, right?
Yes, sir.
How did they do that?
So they brought me into many community services. They brought me into the facility of Zappos, the JAG building, and everything that was surrounding Las Vegas. My mentor, Josh Arredondo, he let me know that there is so much that I could do for my community. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to have so much power just to help out your community. You know, you could be just a simple civilian here in Las Vegas and still help out those around you. And that just showed me that I could do a lot right now, and I don't need to do so much, you know, in the further future. Even though it's my plan to
go to Nevada State College.
Go to Nevada
right?
State College, yes, correct.
Okay, and you business administration.
Business administration and a minor of entrepreneurship.
And in the meantime, you were also a member of the National Guard.
Yes, correct.
And you just had one of your first events there with the Guard?
One of my first drills.
Drills.
Yes.
Okay. Renee, let me get back to you.
Yes, sir.
So give us an idea. How do you serve? How do you find students? And what kind of students are you serving in terms of
Absolutely. Great question. So there are some key indicators that we look for. Okay. We look for young people of promise who have, at entry, high levels of absenteeism, low academic achievement, poverty, free and reduced lunch. So we target kids who need an extra hand, who need a caring adult who provides, some structure and some support. And we deliver that. And what we find, like Jimmy, is that young people really flourish when they get that extra attention. Some people just need that little bit of extra, support and care to really flourish. And for our young people, success looks different for every young person. Right. For some, it may be a 4-year diploma. For others, it may be a 2-year associate's degree or an apprenticeship. So we help young people define their own version of success and work with them to find that path in the workforce.
So tell us about the success rate.
Oh, I'm so proud of our kids.
You've served, I saw the numbers here, you're serving more than 3,200 statewide, right?
Correct. We're serving over 3,200 students across the state. We're a true all Nevada program. We are all over the state, small communities, big cities. Our students achieved a 97% graduation rate after 12 months of follow-up. 95% of our kids are working full-time, going to college full-time, or combining both on a full-time endeavor. And one other thing, our young people, the college-going rate for JAG students has risen from 27% to 41%, which is above the statewide average.
That's awesome.
Thank
Jimmy,
you.
last question. So what do you say to students who maybe were like you in the past, when you were in high school, and you saw that maybe you weren't sure what you really could achieve, but you found JAG and they helped you. But what do you say to those students that maybe haven't found JAG yet? What's your advice to them, quickly?
My advice is don't listen to what everybody says about you. You know, it doesn't matter if what ethnicity you are, black, white, or brown. You can make a change in your life right now. You don't need to follow what everybody says that your people are. It doesn't matter if you're a gang member. It doesn't matter if you're living in poverty. You could do so much right now in school, graduate from high school, go into college, and just make a change for your own life, and it starts today.
That's right, and you're a great example of that.
Thank you.
Continued success, and Renee, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much,
and
Mitch.
continued success for JAG.
Thanks much.
Well, 2 more CCSD magnet schools are now national certified magnet schools. Rancho High School and Roy Martin Middle School have been given that honor. Magnet Schools of America recognize both schools for their efforts in innovating curriculum and for the instructional programs that promote choice, equity, and diversity. Rancho and Roy Martin join 10 other CCSD magnet schools that have earned that honor. Well, many new and returning students may be eligible for free and reduced price meals through the National School Lunch Program and other programs. Eligibility for the National School Lunch Program is open for 30 days after the start of the school year. Applications and instructions on how to apply are provided at myschoolapps.com. Paper applications are also available in all school cafeterias. Families must fill out an application online or turn in a paper application at the school. Only one application is needed per household. Not every parent has the ability to pick up their student from school or make sure their child is getting their homework done in the after-school hours or spending those hours in a positive way after school. That's where the Boys and Girls Club of Southern Nevada can help. It is a nonprofit organization that provides some great resources to working parents who want a safe, a supportive, and a fun environment for their children. Joining us is Andy Bischel. He is President, CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Southern Nevada, and also Max Fenster, Operations Manager of the organization. Thanks to both of you for being here today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Andy, I know that probably most people have heard Boys and Girls Club of Southern Nevada, but why don't you just give me a quick summary? What is it you provide for those that may not know?
Yeah, we always say when school's out, we're in. Okay. So that is 11-hour days in the summer, and then before and after school, we offer youth development programming services. So yes, it can be fun gym time, art programming, but we also do the heavy lifting on the academic support. So we do homework help with our kids Monday through Thursday during the school year, and we really, ultimately, our mission is to give kids the opportunity to become productive, caring, responsible citizens. So everything that goes along with that, character and leadership, those kind of things are really what we're working on. And
you provide the majority of these services at the clubs.
Correct.
You have a series of, I think, is it 13 clubs?
13 club
around
sites
the valley?
Throughout the valley. We were 2 organizations, Boys and Girls Club Henderson and Boys and Girls Club Vegas, merged into one organization and now serving the entire valley.
Okay. And you said you serve as many as 10,000
members.
Yeah,
yes.
Members.
Right.
Sorry, members.
So we make a distinction between that. Members are the ones that come to us at least 10 times a month. So they're getting the full breadth of the programming. So the homework help and the character and leadership programming, those athletic components, art components. And then we serve about another 10 to 15,000 through sports leagues and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, troops meetings, those kind of things.
Lots of stuff. Okay. So Max, if I were to walk into one of the clubs, one of the 13 clubs after school, what kinds of things would I see happening there? It's not just, I mean, there's educational, there's also a lot of sports as we talked about, but talk a little bit more maybe about some of the educational programs. I mean, you're talking about providing some STEM learning, right?
Yeah, so we have a lot of programs. They're different in each of our core areas. So when you first walk into a club, you'd see our game room more than likely, where our kids are participating in tournaments like foosball, pool, bumper pool. Esports is one that's coming on pretty big.
Right.
With our esports, we also tie that into STEM programming, as you mentioned. So we teach the kids how to code, digital literacy, digital arts, that kind of stuff.
Okay. One of the things that I know is that a lot of parents that have to work in the afternoon, they're not able to provide help in terms of, you talked about homework. I mean, that's just a basic thing, having someone to sit down one-on-one to help a child that may be struggling with something, and that's provided through your clubs, correct?
And building that habit, right?
Right.
Consistently knowing, okay, after school we're gonna get a snack, we're gonna burn off some energy, and then we're gonna sit down and we're gonna get our homework done. But just getting in that habit of getting that done is a huge step for our parents, right, that know that they're going to get that help. And we have tutors that help along with our staff to get that homework done.
And the ultimate goal here, as I understand it, the mission is just to help the students ensure that they graduate from high school.
Correct. Productive, caring, responsible citizens, right? How do we get them to that 18 is where we stop serving,
right?
But how do we prepare them for that next step? So high school graduation is the key to that. We know we have a 98% graduation rate for our high school seniors.
That's great.
79% of those are going on to post-secondary education. But also, even on top of that, what are we doing for those that aren't suited for or don't want to go to college? Connecting them to workforce development opportunities to prepare them for what happens at 19, 20, 21.
That's right. So Max, if I were a parent and I was thinking, gee, this sounds great, how do I get my child involved? What's the best way to do that?
Come by one of our locations. So we have 13 across the valley.
Okay.
You can visit our website, bgcsnv.org, and you can see a list of all of our clubhouses. Walk in, come to the front desk, fill out a membership application, and take a tour of the club.
Is there a cost involved?
There are some costs, there's some membership fees, but we also have scholarships for working families so that they will cover all programming costs. It's just a matter of filling out applications, and then we work with all families. We don't want to turn any kid away. Right. So really want to work with families getting through, but costs are minimal. $35 is an annual membership fee. And then there can be weekly and monthly depending on the seasons, but they're reflective of the communities they serve.
Okay, wonderful. Hey, appreciate your time today. Again, it's bgcsn.org.
SNV.org.
SNV.
.org.
We'll get that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, before we leave you, we want to remind you of a good online resource that can help you answer all of your back-to-school questions. School year, of course, is still new. If you have questions about transportation, registration, food service, safety, or more, check out the district's back-to-school webpage at ccsd.net/schools/back-to-school. The website is also available in Spanish. Well, we all have a stake in the public education system, which is why we want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Inside Education. A reminder that you can catch this episode and past episodes of Inside Education on the Vegas PBS website or YouTube page. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and we hope to see you then.